we'll just thank you for adjusting the mic.
We'll raise it again when it's my turn.
Could be a bit higher, though. Listen, so the latest on the coronavirus and the consular response, we now have 160 Canadians which have been asking Canada for consular assistance in China. We have secured a plane to repatriate Canadians who so wish to come back. Now, the next step, obviously, is to work on the diplomatic front and the logistics, obviously, with our Chinese counterparts. We're engaging in discussion as we speak. And I also want to advise Canadians that we have changed our travel advisory to advise Canadians to avoid non-essential travel to China. So, en français, écoutez, on a maintenant 160 Canadiens et Canadiennes qui ont demandé une assistance consulaire présentement en Chine. Nous avons sécurisé un avion, un aéronef qui pourra transporter les Canadiens et les Canadiennes qui veulent être rapatriés au Canada. Bien évidemment, nous travaillons de concert avec les autorités chinoises pour obtenir les autorisations au niveau diplomatique, mais aussi toute la logistique que l'on doit organiser. Et finalement, je veux aviser les Canadiens et Canadiennes que nous avons changé notre avis aux voyageurs d'éviter les voyages non essentiels présentement en Chine.
Will you be holding them
Sure.
when the Canadians come back? Are you going to be holding them in isolation for a period of time?
So that is also part of the processes that we're working out. If François-Philippe hadn't lowered this so far, I don't know how to raise it. Someone else will have to do it. I'll start over. So part of the process now is figuring out exactly what our protocols will be when we return Canadians that wish to come home. And we're working very closely with our U.S. counterparts who obviously have some experience in this and have set up some best practices. And we'll be following their lead very closely. And we'll have more to say as those processes unfold.
The World Health Organization. Les Québécois qui sont en Chine, qu'est-ce que vous faites de...
Répétons, on va aller.
Le Québec veut rapatrier les Québécois qui sont en Chine actuellement.
Alors, j'ai parlé aux autorités québécoises aujourd'hui, juste avant cette conférence de presse-là. Je les ai informés des actions que nous allions entreprendre. Je viens juste de terminer aussi un appel avec le secrétaire aux Affaires étrangères du Royaume-Uni. Alors, je peux vous dire qu'on est vraiment coordonnés. J'ai placé un appel avec la ministre du Québec, la ministre des Relations internationales, pour l'informer des mesures que nous allions prendre pour rapatrier les Canadiens et les Canadiennes qui voudraient revenir.
The World Health Organization today issued some advice to countries that are indeed evacuating citizens from China. What can you specifically draw from the advice given today from the World Health Organization in terms of what Canada's plan needs to look like?
Well, I have not seen that specific evidence, and I'm happy to come back once I've reviewed it. I'm also very comforted by the fact that Dr. Tam is, as I mentioned, an expert advisor to the World Health Organization. They will be having a meeting tomorrow, and we'll have more to say at that point.
Les ressources diplomatiques nécessaires sur place en Chine. On comprend que M. Martin n'est pas en Chine présentement. Est-ce que toutes les ressources nécessaires sont
Oui.
à la disposition des Canadiens?
Il n'y a pas d'inquiétude pour les Canadiens et les Canadiennes à avoir. Je suis en contact avec l'ambassadeur Barton à tous les jours. On a les équipes nécessaires sur le terrain pour offrir tous les services consulaires. Comme je vous dis, évidemment, il faut que les gens qui nous regardent à la maison comprennent que c'est une situation qui est dynamique. Ça change évidemment d'heure en heure. Maintenant, je l'ai dit, on a 160 Canadiens et Canadiennes qui nous ont demandé, évidemment, de l'assistance consulaire. On est en contact avec eux. Et là, la partie qu'on doit faire, c'est toute la partie logistique, la partie diplomatique, évidemment, avec les autorités chinoises.
Est-ce que vous avez dit quand l'avion pourrait partir, M. Champagne?
Écoutez, ce qu'on est en train de faire, ce que je peux vous dire, puis on va revenir, la ministre et moi, devant les Canadiens et Canadiennes à chaque fois qu'on a des nouvelles. Ce que je peux vous dire, c'est qu'hier, on a sécurisé un appareil pour rapatrier les Canadiens et les Canadiennes qui voudraient revenir. Maintenant, comme dans le cas de tous les autres pays, une fois qu'on a sécurisé un appareil, il faut ensuite travailler de façon diplomatique pour obtenir les permissions nécessaires pour faire atterrir l'appareil. Et deuxièmement, organiser toute la logistique parce que les gens comprennent que cette partie-là, cette ville-là, évidemment, la circulation est réduite, la circulation est contrôlée. Donc là, on travaille avec les autorités chinoises pour assurer la logistique pour justement faire ça, puis on va vous tenir au courant. In English. So what I was saying, and then we'll go to you. So what I was saying is just that once you have secured an airplane, which what we did yesterday, and I was in touch even with the CEO of the company, so the plane is secured. Now that's step one. After that, obviously in parallel to that, we need to work with the Chinese authorities with respect to the authorizations you need to bring the plane, obviously in China, but also work on the logistics. Canadians understand, and once you have a plane that you could repatriate Canadians, those who wish to be repatriated, then we need to work on the logistics because, as you know, the city is on lockdown. So we are talking. I just finished a call with the Minister of International Relations of Quebec. I just literally finished a call with Secretary Rabb of the United Kingdom. We are all coordinating. We're all talking to each other to make sure that, as Minister Hajdu said, we learn from best practices. We are coordinating, and we'll come back to you as soon as we have more to say with respect to the next steps. Now we're working together.
Of the 160 Canadians that have asked to be repatriated, do we know if any of them are sick?
I cannot answer that question right now, but we will ensure because, as I told you yesterday, we are in touch with them. We are asking these questions, but there will be a process as we're looking at repatriation. There'll be a process, obviously, which has been applied by other countries as well. So as more, when we have more on that, we'll certainly come back to you.
What's Canada's company? What's the company? You said that.
Well, it's a charter airline. Let's say it's a charter airline. It's not going to be a military aircraft. It's a charter airline specializing on repatriation.
Are you looking at scenarios where you would be putting these 160 Canadians into, say, a military base or something like that?
So the first and foremost thing to remember is that we will always work to ensure the health of Canadians, whether they're abroad or whether they're here. So yes, what we're looking at is a scenario where we have all the measures in place to protect Canadians from exposure to the virus. And having said that, that's about as far as I can go because we know that, for example, the U.S. has a process that's working very efficiently and that is working in a very similar way that we're working on the virus in our domestic approach. So we'll come back to you with the steps as we develop them further.
But among the options, you're saying you're looking at military bases. Are you also looking at just sending these people home and letting them deal with it on their own? And then I have another question because I don't know if I'll get my turn again. Yesterday, you couldn't really answer whether people who are already sick in China would be allowed to board the plane back. Have you figured that part out? And then, Monsieur Champagne, est-ce que c'est une question d'heure ou de jour le rapatriement? Vous dites que vous avez un aéronef. Est-ce qu'on attend quelques heures?
So in terms of the questions around the processes, I will not speculate at this point what exact process will be in place, other than to say that the goals of the process will be to protect the health of Canadians, both here in Canada and the health of Canadians who are returning. In terms of your second question, will people be allowed to come back if they're sick? These are the conversations that we're having with our partners, including China, to determine how, in fact, people are allowed to board and what the processes are. Obviously, some people may be engaged with the medical system, and that's the hard work that Minister Champagne and his team are doing to determine what support people need. Let's remember that not everybody in China that's on the list of people that would like support want to come back to Canada. In fact, as I said yesterday, some of the concern is around supplies that they might be running out, challenges moving around the region, being separated from families that might be in another part of the region. And so Minister Champagne's team is doing a thorough job trying to understand the numbers of people that want to come back, as well as what other kinds of ways we can support Canadians in a very difficult situation where mobility has been essentially cut off from other parts of the country.
Monsieur Champagne, just a second. Sorry, he didn't answer the question.
So, votre question, c'était sur le nombre de jours que ça peut prendre. Écoutez, je peux juste regarder ce que ça a pris dans le cas de d'autres pays. On parle de plusieurs jours que les autres pays ont dû évidemment prendre pour assurer la logistique et les autorisations. Donc, je peux vous dire, c'est le temps que ça a pris. Évidemment, on est en contact avec les autorités chinoises sur, évidemment, obtenir les autorisations diplomatiques, mais aussi toute la logistique. So, in English, the question was about how many days, and the only thing I can say to Canadians, I can reflect on how many days it took for the U.S. and for the others who had plane landing there. It took a number of days because you need to work out on the diplomatic side, you need to work out on the logistics side. But what we're going to be making sure in the meantime, and Minister Hajdu said it very eloquently, we're going to provide all the consular assistance to the people. We're keeping them updated. We're talking to them almost on a daily basis. So we will inform Canadians, and from those who have requested.
Why is Canada so much longer than other countries to get to this point?
Well, I would disagree with you because I was in touch.
Other countries.
Well, I was in touch with all the others, sir, and I will tell you, Canada is at the forefront of the response. We are talking with the allies. The only plane which has landed is a U.S. plane which was scheduled to be there. The other one is Japan this morning. I've talked to my counterparts. We're in touch with everyone, and I can assure you that the government of Canada is there to respond to this consular emergency that Canadians want there, and we will continue to do so. We're using best practices. Like I said, you need to tailor the response with the need of the people. We have now 160 Canadians who need consular assistance. We're in touch with them. We're assessing their needs. I would say we're responding appropriately. We have a plane secured like the other nations, and now we're working like the international community to get the landing permission and obviously the logistics.
And if I could just add to that, I think what's important to remember is at the beginning of this, we didn't actually have a fulsome picture of who was in the region because so many people were not registered. So we actually didn't have a sense of what the number of Canadians from our particular side of the records. And so I think the work that we've been doing to make sure that people know that they need to register and that they need to reach out so that we can actually find them has directly resulted in the rise of numbers that are people.
Who is going to pay?
Listen, the first and foremost thing now is to help Canadians.
Yeah.
With
So is it
respect to the
taxpayers
cost, I
who-
would say we've not spent much time on that yet. The focus now is offering the consular assistance to every Canadian who needs that. We'll get back to you with the details.
And I would add that I think, listen, Canadians expect us to protect their safety and their health. And, I agree with my colleague. This is premature to talk about what budget line this is going to come from, but I'm pleased to live and represent a country that believes that we need to take every action to protect the health of Canadians in the face of a global situation like this.
With allies, what have you been saying? All right.